ERIK KLAUS. Again, terrible at intros, but really excited because you're easily one of my favorite people I'm following right now on Instagram. Um, Loving everything you're sharing. You just had this big success on Kickstarter, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So
hmm
there's a ton of stuff that I want to talk with you about. So thank you for joining me, man.
Yeah, and my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, dude. I'm an open book.
Hey, all right. Um, Tell us about first off who you are, and yeah, kind of like your artist origin story. Who is ERIK KLAUS? Who
My
Where state
origin
ninja?
story.
Yeah,
I started out reading comics back in the day. I was super into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
yeah,
So Kevin Eastman was totally my hero. He's the guy that made me want to draw comics. Um, so yeah, that was it. Like just drawing turtles and doing that thing, and go to school and you're doodling stuff, and people are like, "Oh, this is cool," and they're gathering around your desk or whatever, and you're like, "Oh, all right, this is the thing." So I pursued art, kind of in high school. Was super into comics. Whatever was out. It was '90s, so it was like Jim Lee's
yeah,
X-Men, stuff like that was super influential, and Image was doing its gangbuster thing, and I was like, this is rad. And of course, there was certain animes that were on Akira and stuff, Ninja Scroll at that time,
yep,
and I was like, this is cool, and all that stuff was awesome. But after I graduated high school, like I just didn't have the money to go to art school or whatever. So, I tried to do some commercial stuff and didn't really like people telling me what to do all the time with art.
yep,
Uh, so I was like, man, this sucks. So I ended up just, getting a retail job, and I got married, had kids. 10 years later, it's like, oh well, I kind of miss drawing a lot, and at that time I was reading a lot of manga. I was reading like Bakuman and stuff. So
mm,
it's like these kids like drawing manga and getting published, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I need to start drawing again. So entered some like a Shonen Jump storyboard contest, and was doing a lot of stuff on DeviantArt, little contests and stuff. And I working on my own book. It was called Knife Heart Road, and I did that for a while. And after a couple of years of just working retail and then just nights and weekends drawing, I wasn't really getting anywhere. So I was like, my wife and I talked about it, and she was like, if you want to do this for real, you need to go to a real school. And so, we looked at different schools, and I ended up going to the Kubert School, and spent 3 years there and graduated. And so for the last, year, I've been kind of out of school. I graduated in 2016, so I've been out of school and trying to figure out the con scene and the art scene and what works for me and what doesn't. And working on my own story and my own book, Ninjas and Robots, and did
yep.
that Kickstarter thing. And it's just been like, it's just going, man. I don't know where it's gonna go or what it's gonna do, but this is the beginning, so I'm excited to see what's gonna happen. It's pretty cool.
I can tell. Thank you again for letting me read that PDF, Ninjas and Robots. It seems like you're having fun.
I'm totally having fun, dude. It's the dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I mean, I always wanted to do my own stuff after reading, Eastman's Turtles and Laird. I was like, man, this is cool, like ninjas and obviously robots, and this is cool, and it's super in like Japanese culture, like Power Rangers or whatever. They're basically like ninjas fighting these giant
yeah,
robots and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
And so it's all kind of mixed in that culture, and I'm super into the Japanese culture, and so it just seemed really cool. But you go to school, and they're teaching you kind of how to survive. So you're studying Marvel stuff, you're studying DC stuff, you're studying Golden Age stuff. You're trying to get a job, you're trying to sell
Yeah.
yourself. And I mean, I sat down with editors from Marvel and DC and all the big guns, and they were like, this is cool, but this isn't really what we do.
Yeah.
And so
Were you shopping your own thing or their stuff?
nah, I was totally doing theirs, like, because a lot of our school assignments were, actual scripts. Like, I
Okay.
had Adam Kubert and Andy Kubert as teachers, so they would give us like, X-Men scripts. They would give us like Wolverine scripts, and then we would have to like, basically just go off that script and do our own thing, and try not to reference their stuff too much or whatever. But
Okay.
it was cool. So, even that, like, that was an Andy Kubert assignment. That was like, he was like, all right, you got to do this downtown New York scene with dinosaurs and whatever, the rest is up to you. And I'm a Turtles fan. So I'm like, man, I'm going to throw some turtles in there and that'll be cool. And I sent that to IDW and they were like, yeah, this is cool. Why don't you ink it? And, whatever. And I did, but it's still, it's a little different. And so, like, the dream for me has always been just to kind of do my own thing. But of course, you got to make money too. I got to pay those student loans and stuff.
Oh, so I know. I know that.
Yeah. So that's the struggle, man. That's the challenge is being able to be able to survive while we're doing this thing. But Ninjas and Robots was totally just a love thing. It was like, man, if I could draw like anything, of course it's gonna be like, super cute, like super strong girls that are just like kicking butt, like, 'cause that's way more fun to draw,
Yep.
And the robots are just so there's not blood, everywhere, and it doesn't get too crazy too fast. And I mean, you can just destroy everything, and it's cool because it's robots. So that was kind of the idea.
It worked. So you mentioned that. Well, actually, I'm really curious. What retail job did you have?
I worked at a UPS store. I was the assistant manager, and it was pretty great.
It was pretty great.
Yeah, that was my sarcasm, but yeah, it was pretty great. No, I mean, it was cool. It paid bills, But...
Oh no, I do. Yeah, absolutely. So right now, are you working full time as an artist, or do you have another job as well?
Nah, this is all I do right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm just it's all or nothing, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So like I'm in and my wife works full time. She's a dental assistant. So she works and she's just been totally like supportive and like, we're gonna try this thing. And so, I did this book and just finished it up, just got my 500 copies or whatever of this book. And I've got cons lined up all year, so like I'm doing at least
there you go.
at least one every month, and just kind of see what happens and what goes down. And I would actually really like to do a book 2, and I was thinking about doing a Kickstarter for that, like maybe in June or something, after I get things going and get some pages and stuff done for that.
Well, I want to talk about Kickstarter later. That is part of the plan.
Whatever you want, man. Okay.
I try to keep some sort of organization going, just to keep.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll just tell me to shut up. Like,
no, you're good. You mentioned out of high school that you didn't care to draw what other people were drawing, right?
Right. Yeah, I remember, did you have that problem too?
Yeah, after high school, I started as an art major at a community college, and after one semester, I was like, no, this is not for me, because I didn't like doing what they were telling me to do, and so. What was sad though is I stopped drawing after that for quite a while.
Yeah.
It sounded like that's kind of what happened to you too.
Yeah, they sucked the fun out of it, dude.
Yeah.
Like it was, I went through a commercial art program because it was, at a community college and that's all I could afford or whatever. And my parents were like, you got to make money if you're going to do this. So I went through a commercial art thing, and like, it was basically like, whatever you're doing, don't do that. I want you to draw this fruit exactly like it is, or this girl's ear exactly like it is. You know what I mean? And I mean, that's great. Like, that's training and stuff, but it just was, at that time, it was not fun. And it was like, I don't want to do it. And then I like got some freelance jobs, and then it was just a lot of redraws. And it's like people don't really know what they want. And so they tell you, do this weird thing, do this crazy guy. And he's got this, artboard with a rat pinned to it, and the blood is like his paint, he's painting, and you're like, what the hell am I gonna do with that? So you draw something, and they're like, oh no, don't do it like that. And so you do it so many times, and it's just not fun anymore. And it's not paying enough to really take care of anything at that point. But
I feel you.
Well, the journey, man.
It's interesting that you and I had started off kind of similarly. Did you take a break from drawing though?
Yeah, I did.
You were kind of in and out and feeling it out.
I honestly didn't draw for a long time. Like, I feel like I was pretty okay, like, senior year of high school. And then for a long time, I just didn't draw. And then I was doodling, I always doodle on
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
receipts, or anytime you find a piece of paper and a Sharpie, you're drawing something, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
it's not necessarily good. You're drawing. So, I mean, I was doing stuff, but nothing like serious until, about 2 years before I went to the Kubert school. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna really try this. And that's when Manga Magazine was online. And so I was trying to do the weekly submissions for a web comic, and just trying to post
Mm,
regularly because I wanted to be picked up as one of their regulars, because they actually had artists getting paid
mm.
to do these web comics. And I was like, all right, cool, so I'll try this or whatever. And then of course they shut down, and I wasn't consistent enough anyway. But yeah,
I
so
bet I will bet you'd be more consistent now.
yeah, well, yeah. I've,
You just
the
have
the
to be.
Kubert school was just like it was unbelievable. It was kind of like the medical school equivalent
Yeah.
of the art world. You know what I mean? Like, it was so intense, like 8 to 16 hours a day. You're like drawing like nonstop.
At the
And
school,
no, no, no. Well, I mean, you're at the school for, whatever, eight
but
hours,
yeah, you
but
gotta put the more work
yeah,
in.
and then you got
Wow.
so much homework, because it's two classes a day. So you basically have 10 classes a week, 10 classes a semester or whatever. And every class has like these intense projects that you just do. And they give you lab time and stuff, so you work in school. But then you go back to student housing, and all you do is basically work, you know what I mean? And then if something is due, if you got deadlines, then you just work until it's done. So
Right.
it was crazy. It was good though, super good.
I'm really curious about the Kubert School and what that does for you now.
Um, what it does for me now, the goal of the Kubert School is to basically teach you how to survive in the art world. Okay, it's not necessarily just comics. Like, they teach you
Oh, okay.
everything. You know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
you can get a job just basically doing art. Like, you learn how to do websites, you learn how to do business cards, you learn how to
Oh,
do
wow.
like t-shirt design, absolutely everything. And then
Wow.
you also do, anatomy and layout, and you do storytelling. And I mean, there is storytelling that's the focus. So your
Mm,
narrative storytelling is like key. But like, basically they just want you to be able to get a job. And then at the end of the 3 years, they sit you down with, all the major publishing companies, and you get a chance to show your portfolio, get
wow.
reviewed, maybe get work. For us, New York Comic Con was a required field trip, so we got pro passes, and we're there, all 4 days, all 3 years. And so we got
Mm,
to meet artists that way, and kind of build connections and relationships that way. And so it was great. Beyond that, like, it's up to you, man. You get from it what you take. And I feel like for me, it was, I'm going to do this whether or not DC wants to hire me or not. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try to make it whether or not Marvel wants to hire me or not. You know what I mean? I'm going to do that thing because this is what I was trained to do. And so
mm.
that's, basically what I've been doing, and what I took away from it. What other people take away from it, that's up to
Yeah.
them. Or is everybody still drawing afterwards? Like, I don't know. Like, it took me like a good 3 to 6 months to just not be burnt out after I finished school.
Oh, I
Like, it
bet.
was
Yeah, I
that
bet.
it was that intense. But
So
yeah.
in Ninjas and Robots, how much of that do you think was influenced by your time in school?
Well, I mean, a lot of the storytelling was I'm always remembering, like, I had Fernando Ruiz, who did Archie for a long time.
Mhm.
He's doing Die Kitty Die now, but I had him first year. And so a lot of those lessons and things that he taught me, like, I'm still, like, I remember, like, this is a
Mhm.
tangent, this is a bad crop, don't do this, flip that, and so I'm always thinking about things while I'm laying out pages, while I'm laying out panels, getting the eye to flow and stuff. And the same with
Yeah.
Andy. Like, Andy did, a lot of the way he drop shadows just to make things pop, or just to lead the eye for no other reason, just to lead the eye and get the reader around the page. And then Adam, third year, and it was like Adam Fernando tag team, and then I had Tom Mandrake second year too, who was also doing narratives. So a lot of that, like, I think I'm always thinking about while I'm doing the pages. Stylistically, it may not be exactly, what they taught at school. Of course, I kind of do like my thing and try to make it like be as me as possible.
Yeah,
But
you can see me flipping through these, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm seeing a progression of the school, and then all of a sudden turning into you.
Yeah.
Tell me, is this like in the order? It seems like I'm looking at growth.
It kind of is in order. Yeah. I mean, some of the pencils and stuff that you're looking at, like this was the beginning of third year right now, that inked page.
This feels very close to where you're at right now.
And that was kind of the beginning, and that was the same story. That I think was the summer of second year. But this actually was Ninjas and Robots.
Where, this one or the other one?
No, the other one.
This one.
Yeah, before, like, that's kind of where I was going. And then yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're looking at traditional tools there. So you're looking at a G pen, you're looking at a brush. And so it kind of has a look, and I'm still figuring out shadows at that point, and feathering out of shadows. And, there's still things that are trying to make sense for me.
To me, I don't know. You didn't ask for anything like that, but I'm going to share my thoughts here. It feels like you're doing something you taught in school. This looks nice, right? But this was your assignment. And it kind of feels like you're practicing, you're doing stuff in school. And it says Cubert up there on the top left, too.
Yeah, it totally does.
But then paper. And it seems like, okay, it's kind of developing. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I recognize this. This is the guy from Instagram,
Yeah.
And then, these last two kind of, it seems like where it's like, you're like, fuck it, I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like it hit you, or where you're at right now, especially right here, of course.
Yeah.
The way you draw Ninjas and Robots, it really feels like you just, fuck it, I'm having fun. I'm putting it together the way I want to put it together,
It is, man.
But also, I could tell it's grounded in some fundamentals because it carried my eye really, really well. It's,
cool.
It seemed like you knew what you were doing, plus having fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really like this particular page. Like, I actually drew like 2 or 3 times, like inked like 2 or 3 times. Yeah, because like I started out doing the book like traditional, like, just the G pen and stuff. And I just really wanted to feel the energy. And I don't know if you read manga at all, but there's Vagabond, right? And then the artist that does Vagabond, the story of Miyamoto Musashi, like, he starts out using a G pen, but like halfway through his storytelling, he decides he really wants to bring energy to this. So he starts using a brush. He starts only inking with a brush. So it was that kind of thing. Like, I felt kind of limited, and I kind of like, it's exaggerated. Like, her proportions are not right. The figure's not perfect. No, but I didn't want to just mimic other people. You know what I mean? Like, there are so many really good people at cons that are making books and doing things. And I have to like have my own language for, people to recognize and people to see. So then I started using like the parallel pen, and then the whole rest of the book is just parallel pen. And I was like, man, I'm going to do this parallel pen and toothbrush, and I'm just going to have fun. And like, I wanted to, more than it to be completely correct, I wanted to have that feeling, that essence, you know what I mean? So that's kind of really what I was going for with this, is just, and you can see, like, you looked at it or whatever, and a lot of it is, it is more about the feeling. It's more about the energy, and I tried to capture that. And a lot of the lines are loose, and the inking is loose, and like, I was totally happy with that, man. Like, for me, it works. Like, I'm sure there are people that are like, oh, this isn't my thing, but that's cool. That's why there's different stuff.
I don't think it's possible to draw the thing for everybody.
Yeah.
Is it? Well, maybe
I
Jim
so.
Lee, I don't know.
Yeah.
He seems to be pretty well accepted by pretty much everybody.
He's awesome.
It's unmistakably you. As cool. I flip through my Instagram feed pretty quick. Your style, what you post to Instagram is right away it's like, oh, okay, Interstate Ninja.
There you go.
I mean, it's just
That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, you've gotten there, I think.
It's a journey, man. You know,
Yeah.
you never stop. But
Okay, well, so what's up next for you? You know what the
again,
next part of your journey is?
well, I would like to do the second book. Like, and I would like I touched things and experimented with things, and kind of some stuff worked and some stuff I would like to work better. But I just want to like push it to the next level. Like, this first book intentionally was just kind of an introduction to that world, to those characters, to kind of give you a feeling of my style and my take on things. And then the next book is just going to be ridiculously insane. It's just I'm going to push everything beyond my normal limits. And that's the only way to grow, and that's the only way to make, you know, good quality stuff.
That's cool. I respect that. So it sounds like you're using these books as an opportunity to grow, not just to show off what you can do, but to see what you can do.
Right. You know, I'm testing. Like, it's kind of like the Kubert School is kind of like a Shaolin monastery, if you will. And so you're there and you're learning these techniques and these skills. And then when you get out, you got to try. You got to see what you can actually do. You know, you get so much information. It's hard to just, you know what all you've got and to process it all. It takes time, you know. So, you know, a lot of this is just kind of testing. It's pushing it, and it's growing too, not just as an artist, but also as a person. And I want to see where my creative career can go. You know what I mean? And that's the dream. That's absolutely the dream. So
does the Kubert School, just out of curiosity, does it prepare you for social media, how to use Kickstarter or Patreon or stuff like that? Like,
you know,
how modern is it?
It's pretty modern. Like we had original hand lettering classes where we had to hand letter and draw everything by hand. Yeah. And then we also had digital classes where we did that, and we had digital coloring, we had traditional painting, digital painting. So it's a pretty good blend of all that. I was fortunate with my class. I had a wonderful class. Idan, this really cool kid from Israel, sat behind me all 3 years. And he was super into social media. And, you know, he even coming from Israel, he was super into like punk bands and like different kinds of music. So, you know, thinking about the music scene and kind of how that works, and then applying some of those principles to art, you know, is kind of what we're doing. And he was the one that was really on me. He's like, man, you need to post on Instagram like every day. Like, what are you doing? Post, and then post at these times. Post this many times a day and these times. And he was always on me. So, you know, it was surrounding myself with really cool people like Kim and Minkyu and stuff that you know, really helped push me to those next levels, especially with social media, because I probably wouldn't have done it. Like, you know, I just want to draw. Like, it takes so much time and energy.
It does. It does.
You know, to do social media. And like, I mean, you should know your following is pretty decent, man. Yeah. Like, I don't know what your secret is or what you've done, or if it's just been continual like quality content over a certain amount of time, but you know.
I drew a lot of Spider-Man and Venom.
Is that what it was? Is that the secret?
Honestly, yeah. For the longest time that I was doing, you know, fan art.
Yeah.
And I think I draw well enough to where people responded to that. But I noticed that if I draw Scolders or Astropig or my own stuff, it slows way down.
Really?
So that's why I throw Venom in there every now and then.
That's good, man. That's smart. And that's what my buddy at school would tell me. He'd be like, "Oh, you got to draw mainstream stuff too," you know. And that totally makes sense, because the mainstream stuff like invites people in. And they say, "Okay, here's this character that I'm familiar with in a cool style. Let's see what else they do." And okay, here's their other stuff. And that makes sense.
I think it's valuable if you want to get followers and if you want to get commissions, but you're at a few thousand, and when I posted that we were talking today, I said I was happy that you're under followed, because it feels like I'm following a band that I know is awesome and no one else knows it yet, you know?
That's cool, man. I appreciate it.
But you have a few thousand people that are following you for Ninjas and Robots, right?
Yeah.
That's way more valuable than me having, I'm almost at 9,000 who follow me for Venom, when I really don't want to sell Venom. I want to sell Sculptures. So I think your following is probably more valuable, even though it's smaller than what I have, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think you have a lot going for you, and obviously you do. You kicked ass at the Kickstarter.
Yeah, and that's are you ready to talk about that yet?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. And I don't know. And a lot of people ask about, you know, that particular success. And honestly, when I did it, I wasn't sure like if it was going to be successful. Like, I don't know. Like the bottom line was I was going to do the book regardless. Like it was going to happen regardless. But I threw it out there and I was like, yo, if I do this, you know, are people willing to support? And, you know, because I would like to take it from the black and white, cheaper to print realm to full color because it'll be way more epic. And there were quite a few people that kind of said, you know, yeah, I would totally support that. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. But it lulled, and you know, it depends on who you talk to. To me, because I was doing it and I was in it, like I felt like, man, it took forever to actually meet goal. You know what I mean? But then it went over it, and it was like, oh, well, this is cool. And then of course you have the people at the end that drop or whatever, or get dropped, and it's like, all right, well that sucks. But like it was really positive. Like people were super cool about that, and that's just very affirming to like, okay, well, you know, maybe what I'm doing doesn't totally suck, you know. And I mean, I'm having fun, and that's key. But you know, it brings me joy for other people to enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Absolutely, for me there. I did one Kickstarter successfully, and I failed miserably the second one.
What was the first one? The first book that you did?
Yeah, it was issue 1, and I made it a little bit over, and then issue 2, I didn't even get close. I made it like halfway, and it was just total bomb. But I still I paid for it out of pocket because I know there's a handful of people that are really into it and want to know the next step, and it's like, I want you to have this. I worked on this so you could hold it. So that's for me, that's the biggest reward. I'm not making any money on it. It's really just like it's important to me that they be able to hold it, you know.
Yeah, I know. I got mine, man. I'm excited. It's so good. Like it's really good, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something there. I don't know. I have no idea how to sell these things.
Well, see, and that's the thing, man. There's been like, you know, my stuff is what it is, okay? But there are a few artists out there that have done Kickstarters that have failed, and they're honestly and truly, if you get to the bare bones, they're better artists than I am. Okay, they are, and they maybe even have bigger social media followings than I do. So it's difficult to pinpoint exactly where the success comes from. I know that for me, and I don't know if you looked at like when the Kickstarter is running, it tells you what percentage of support you got from what venue. You know what I mean? So it tells you how many people actually were just random, how many people were through Kickstarter, how many people were from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. And honestly, like I have the biggest following on Instagram, but the monetary support on Instagram was the smallest.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So a lot of it came from Facebook, which was weird because, and I mean, maybe a lot of those people are just regular people with regular jobs and they can pay for it. But it was just, it was weird. It was like people I went to high school with or whatever. And it was like, they were like, yeah, I'm totally doing it. And you're like, what? You're like, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Did you ask your friends and family to back you?
I wasn't very good about that. I'm not good at peddling. I want people to want to get stuff to get it, and I don't want to be like, "Hey, please, will you buy my thing?" or whatever.
Yeah.
But there were people that came out from who knows where, and you know, I sent some stuff out today. Like I sent, I've only got one more shipment, and then I'm done with the Kickstarter.
Nice.
But I did a nice chunk of them today. And there was like Norway, there was like Australia, there was like, you know, the UK.
Isn't that cool, man?
It was really cool. I
love that.
I was like, what the heck? This is just like it's just so humbling, you know what I mean?
Oh,
it's like, oh, this is so rad. But you know, and then there were people that, you know, you would think for sure, well, you know, my boy over here is gonna do it for sure. And then like, no, like, nope. You're going through the list and their name's on it, and you're just like, oh.
Right.
Like, you know, and it's not even about the money; it's about the love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, and I get it. Like, it's a thing. Like, if I didn't have it,
you and I were very similar because I don't know how to peddle stuff. I used to do conventions and I was pretty good at selling prints, but I had no idea how to sell my comic book.
Yeah.
And even with friends and family, I didn't want to ask them to back the Kickstarter because I don't want. It felt like pity money to me.
Yeah.
Like if you're into my book, I want you to have it. But if
Right.
and I told my parents, they ended up supporting me on issue 1. But I was like, I told them, don't. Like you guys aren't going to read it. Like I don't back it. I don't want. I want to know actually how many people are into this.
Yeah.
And my measure of that is how much of the
How well
backing I. Yeah. So
Yeah,
when
but
people.
that's not a fair assessment though, man. And that's the thing that I learned with my Kickstarter is you almost have to take it to everyone's door because of the way the algorithms are set up. A lot of people don't support not because they don't want to. They're totally cool, but they just don't know about it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So you have to be that dude that posts like every day on every different social media
Yeah.
thing that you have, or honestly and truly they just don't hear about it, or they think I'm going to do it, but then life gets in the way and you forget or
You're right. No,
whatever.
you're right. You're right.
Like even like the Hanzo stuff, like I don't know if you follow that
Mhm.
dude,
Yeah.
but like I supported his Hanzo, but he was like posting that thing like every day, like
It was. Yeah.
like he was like last week for Hanzo book 1,
Same
jump
thing
on
with
that.
Karen Comics. He does Skyline, that company.
Yeah, yeah,
All the time, every day.
yeah.
They did a fantastic job of pushing it, and I feel like I probably on issue 2 I probably did a terrible job of advertising
Yeah,
it, but just with family and friends in particular, I didn't seek that out. That was just like a pride thing.
yeah.
But
I
otherwise,
feel you, man.
huh?
I feel you. It's a little weird. It's a little weird to
Yeah.
be that guy, but you know what I mean. But you kind of got to, and I mean you don't have to
Mm.
be over the top, like where it's like 20 messages. But yeah,
Yeah.
I would encourage anyone who does a Kickstarter to reach out to every one of their Facebook followers. Send them a private message. Don't do one of those spam things where it's like cut and copy and paste or whatever. But just
Mm.
say, hey, whoever, like, this is what I'm doing. If you're interested, cool. If you're not, cool. I understand, but I have to tell you about it because if it's not successful, I'm gonna end up getting another stupid retail job. So it's like you got to do that. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. I would push anybody to do the same. I just won't do it myself.
Oh, well, I'll do it for you then for the next.
Yeah.
I'll tell everybody.
You haven't really told us much about Ninjas and Robots. Do you mind talking about more about about it?
No, of course not. What do you
You,
want to
you,
know?
you you said that. I mean, obviously, it's a ton of fun. Issue 1 is the
Yeah.
introduction. You said you're really into Japanese culture.
Yeah. Well, issue 1 is basically, and I'll try not to do any spoilers, not there, whatever. But
Yeah.
it's basically about Yuki. Yuki Tachibana is the hero of Ninjas and Robots. She's the purple hair ninja girl, and she's super powerful, right?
Yeah.
And because she's such a badass, like it was kind of my desire to make it more interesting by having her lose her memory in this beginning issue. So she can't remember the fact that she's super powerful, which kind of like evens the playing field a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so basically this first book starts out with her on this robot island, and some of her friends from the ninja village she grew up in like kind of come to help her get her memory back and help her get off the island. And so it's basically just the introduction to the characters. You get to watch them fight a bunch of different kinds of robots because there are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different kinds until they get to the end where they're basically leaving the island so they can go back to this ninja mountain. And that's really where the real story is. There's so much history and so much stuff that I left out, so many questions that I intentionally left unanswered, because that's what you learn from anime. Like it's tune
Mm-hmm.
in next time for,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? So you kind of have to have those hooks and
Yeah.
stuff. And so it was just kind of like, it was like, all right, these are the characters. Do you think they're cool? This is kind of what the fights look like. Do you think that's cool? And here's some of the history and some of the story and stuff. And that's basically what it is. It's just meant to be like kind of like an EP for a band, like a demo or whatever to get
Yeah.
people interested and excited. And then for the next book, I really want to like explain a lot of the stuff I left out, and then also have like way more epic action and stuff. Because
You.
there's more bad guys and stuff that you haven't really
I'm sure there will
met
be.
or seen. Yeah.
Well, so far, even the first one, there was constant leveling up of the robots they were encountering, right?
Yeah, I had to do that,
So
man.
you have to, yeah. So I have no doubt your next one will have a whole bunch of cool stuff. You did every piece of this except the coloring, right?
Right. I did the story, I did the pencils, I did the inks, I did the flat colors. And
Mm.
Katie is this really cool artist I met at East Coast Comic Con earlier last year. And she worked with me and she did all the beautiful coloring, all the highlights, all the shadows, you know, all that great rendering and stuff. That's all her magic.
Mm.
Like I kind of let her do what she wanted to do, man, because you know you don't want to tell her. There were certain things like where I'd be like, all right, well, Yuki has to have like purple hair, and that's a thing.
Yeah.
And so, but other than that, like, dude, a lot of the designs, like even the design for the Android number 9, she did all that, like with the white face paint, the red cheeks, and that
Oh,
was all her, man. And I'm like, dang, this is dope.
okay. So she really
That was way
added her own
cooler.
thing to it.
Yeah, I was
That's
like,
cool.
man, this is way cooler than what I imagined. And some of the bots and stuff, like she just designed, like she changed like what I did, and she gave them like the skull paint and stuff too. And I was like, oh, this is great. Like, it was great. Like, and
Yeah,
working with her was just like a pleasure. But
cool.
yeah, so she did all the cool colors and stuff. And
What made I was curious what made you decide to because I found that through my process of making the first 2 issues that I'm extremely controlling and
Mhm.
I don't want to give up any part of it. What made you get to the point where you're like, you know, I can bring on or hire someone to do the coloring?
I'm not a super strong color. Like, I mean, I do it, and there's tons. Like, you can see tons of my work online that I do. It's mostly like because the way I use the ink, a lot of it's just flats, you know. And back in the '90s when I
Mm-hmm.
was reading a lot of comics, it was a lot of flats.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the stuff, because I read manga, I read Usagi Yojimbo or whatever, it's black and white. So you know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
super into that, and I'm into the tones and stuff. But this particular story, there are elements that have to do with colors. Like each one of their colored shirts reflects an element, and their hair color means something. And so it kind of needed to be in color. And I was at East Coast, and Katie was like, Katie and her crew, because she does the comic she does is called After. So it's on after-comic.com. But she had these posters and banners and stuff up with her colors, and it
Mm-hmm.
just like it looked amazing. Like I couldn't stop looking at it. I was like, this is
Oh,
super
okay.
cool. So I went over and I talked to them, and they came over and talked to us, and I bought one of their comics. And I just loved the way none of the whites were really white in the comic. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
all kind of dingy, and it was just super cool. And I was like, yes, you know. So I approached her and I was like, hey, you know, yeah, that's their stuff. And see, even like that dude right there with the skull paint, I was like, oh, this is totally like what I'm trying to do. It's like we had never met before, and it was like totally cool. But yeah, this is
That's
all her
awesome.
art. So yeah, that's 100% all her. Someone else I believe letters it, but she does all the art, colors, and drawing and everything. And so that kind of really like appealed to me too, because she wasn't just a colorist, like she can draw, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that to me brings so much dimension to the coloring. And
I was looking at her Instagram today. I think you had mentioned her, so I follow, checked out her Instagram, and she's got some
yeah,
pretty incredible stuff.
it's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
In the back of the graphic novel, some of the fan art she did, it's just like her pencils and stuff, like digital pencils, but like they're freaking great. I'm like, oh, I love these designs. I would read this comic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
Right on, man.
cool.
All right. Well, I was curious why you had given up that one piece of it, but it sounds like that was just it's kind of fell in
a
place
lot of
for
a
you.
lot of it too is time, you know what I mean?
Oh
It takes
yeah.
so much time to do that, and just trying to get everything done. It's hard um to be able to do, because even with her doing the color, like, so I do the flats and I send it to her, and she's super quick too. So she send me back the pages, but then I still have to, like, you know, letter it, and then once it's ready for print, I have to format it. So there was just so much like involved. And it, like, even the Kickstarter, the book itself was done later than what I was planning, what I was hoping. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted it done, like, I think originally it was supposed to be October, and then it got pushed back to November. And by the time I got the test prints of the book, it was like
Mm-hmm.
late December, and I was like, crap, man. And then the final books didn't come until January. So it was just like, it was later and longer than I wanted, but I also didn't want to rush it. You know, I wanted
Yeah,
people
yeah,
to get the quality that they paid for,
yeah,
and, you know, do whatever extra stuff I needed to do to make sure that they got something awesome.
definitely. How did you feel about the way it came out in the book versus the original, coloring and whatnot?
The coloring that I did personally,
No, no, like,
or you mean the way it looked on the computer?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the
Um,
digital version compared to the way
the
it actually looks, how do you feel about the difference?
Some of the printing is a little bit darker than it
Yeah,
actually is resolution on my computer screen. So there are
yeah.
parts that are a little muddled, which sucks because there are really subtle things that Katie did that I feel like
Mm,
got lost because they were
mm-hmm.
gorgeous. And if you're looking on the computer screen, like it's gorgeous. But and I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure when I printed it if it was going to go lighter or if it was going to go darker.
Yeah,
Um, Otherwise, I could have adjusted the levels, and but I'm overall like I'm still totally happy with how it came out. I feel like the print quality is really good. The book quality, the paper quality is really solid. And I had done a sketchbook, like I used Kablam. I don't know who you used,
mm,
but I used them for a sketchbook that I did earlier last year, and I just loved it. I loved the feel of the paper and the size of the book and everything.
mm.
So I just kind of wanted to do that. And I mean, I was totally impressed with what they sent me. They send
Cool.
good quality stuff. Yeah.
That was something that shocked me when I got my first test issue. Was like, this is not the blue that I had
Yeah,
planned. And
it
in issue
never is.
one, the blue was kind of important. And I
Mhm.
called the guy and I was like, this is not the way it's supposed to look. And he goes, look, it's never going to look exactly like it. But he
Yeah.
works to industry standards and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, all right then.
Yeah, and that's hard. And I mean, that is some of the stuff we went over in school as far as CMYK and RGB and like how stuff prints versus how it looks on your computer screen and
Yeah,
resolution, etc. So I mean, we were trained in some of that stuff. But again, like you still never know really what you're gonna get, and which is why I did the test print. But I was happy enough with the test print where I didn't want to
yeah,
re-level and redo everything because
right,
then it just
right,
would have pushed it out longer. You know what I
right,
mean? And I didn't
yeah,
want people to have to wait another month or two for the stuff that I was nitpicking. So
yeah, exactly. At some point, it's
you gotta let it go.
finished, not perfect, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Jake Parker, yeah. Um,
I like your shirt, by the way. I just noticed that.
oh, thank you.
That's awesome.
My daughter, she's 8. She's really into Harry Potter, and she's got my wife and me wearing Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah, my wife is not 8, and she's totally into Harry
Yeah.
Potter. Like, I'm all about it, man. That's cool.
Right on. Who's influencing you right now? Actually, not just right now, but like in general. You mentioned, well, you didn't mention that, but I think Eastman and Laird are probably big influences on you.
Eastman is huge, even still now. Like he's such a cool dude, and his art is like amazing. Like I'm always looking at some of the stuff he's doing. Stan Sakai is super
Mm,
good. Usagi Yojimbo is solid, man, and the art he does is solid. Storytelling is amazing. People like Ben Caldwell, I'm
mm,
super into him. His daily doodles and his sketchbooks and stuff are freaking great. But there's a lot of guys. Like I just go
yeah.
through Instagram, and like there are tons of like not published artists that are amazing.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
this dude Justin Prime. I don't know if you heard of him,
Yeah.
but he's super good. Check out his stuff a lot, and there's just like all these amazing people, and so it's inspiring to kind of
Yeah.
go through that. But I
So,
mean,
go ahead.
no, I mean I just have a bookshelf full of stuff, so it just kind of depends whether it's Ashley
Mm,
Wood or manga or Jim Mahfood or
mm. Yeah, I could see
Humberto
that.
Ramos or whoever, man. They're all good.
For some reason, tell me if I'm right or wrong here. I get the feel of Frank Miller when I see your stuff.
I hear that a lot, and
Yeah.
honestly, like I didn't really know Frank Miller, except from Kevin Eastman because they were super into like Miller and Jack Kirby and stuff when they were doing Turtles, and maybe that's where some of that influence comes from. I got into Frank later with some of the Daredevil stuff because it was the whole introduction of the hand, which
Yeah.
anytime you bring ninjas into comics, I get excited about that. But I mean, I
Yeah.
love his style. He came to the school and talked, you know, while
Oh,
we were
wow.
there and stuff. And like it was really cool to hear him talk because
Oh, yeah.
a lot of his references are like manga and Lone Wolf and Cub and stuff.
Really?
And, yeah, and I'm like, oh, I read that too. That's super cool.
I think what it is for me, I thought it was the way you ink, and that might be a
Mm,
piece of it, but I think it's body proportions for me feel like Frank Miller.
mm,
There is some kind of like the strong angles feel like Frank Miller to me, but
yeah.
especially the way the posing, like
Okay.
this. I don't know if you can see I don't know if you see my
Yeah.
arrow, but the one where she's jumping through the air, her legs tucked
Yeah.
in, it's like that's a classic Frank Miller pose, I
That's
think.
fair. Yeah.
So that just feels like Frank Miller to me. And then also he has this the way he draws, it feels like it's like a moment like frozen in time,
Hmm.
rather than like Joe Madera, who it feels like it's happening now.
Yeah.
And a lot of what you're doing, it feels like it's just this moment like captured. I don't know if that's too abstract for you, but
Nope. That's
all right.
cool, man.
Well, yeah, a lot of what you're doing, I keep feeling Frank Miller for some reason, and then,
I'll take it.
but
You know.
then I definitely see Eastman as well, and you were saying that's a pretty big influence on you, obviously.
Yeah, he definitely was, and is, and that's cool. And it's funny because different like part of your initiation into the comic book world is to let different big artists look at your portfolio. And so it's interesting to see like who they see. And I hear that a lot. I hear Eastman, I hear Stan Sakai, I
Mm,
hear Jim Mahfood, I hear Ashley Wood,
yeah.
um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Jamie Hewlett, Tank Girl, like
Yeah, yeah.
I hear that too. They're like, oh, so they don't know anybody's name. They're just like, oh, this totally looks like Tank Girl, and I'm like, oh,
Mm.
okay, cool.
But
You
that's
know,
just happenstance. That wasn't something you purposely
now it was
incorporated.
not intentional, like
Wow.
not at all. Like, you just, I mean, of course, you read things and you absorb things, but I'm not when I draw, I'm not necessarily looking at anything. If anything, I'm looking at like correct anatomy. So
Mm.
like. So like I'm drawing Yuki, I'm not looking at Frank Miller or anybody. I'm looking at this thing, like I'm trying to like get my proportions and my anatomy and stuff right. And I mean, it's still not because I stylize it, but
Right, right. But no,
so
what you're
that's
doing
what
is
I'm doing.
it does seem like you're grounded in an understanding of anatomy, though.
I try to be, yeah. Anatomy is amazing. You want to have right anatomy,
I've
especially
recently been pushing myself in that direction.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
key, man.
yeah, and I had to admit myself that I've been faking it for quite a while, and really not well you're faking it, but really kind of borrowing the lines of other people. The
Really?
shortcuts. Yeah, yeah. And so now I'm like, I probably should learn this stuff.
Yeah,
So
and then that's the route a lot of people take is they reference artists,
yeah,
which is cool if you're learning like line technique and stuff. But if you're actually trying to learn like the structure of the face or the head, then you need to really like study actual anatomy,
yeah,
not the stylized stuff, because everybody's style is basically like shorthand. You know what I mean?
yeah.
They do
Right, right,
all the shortcuts they need because they've done it like a billion times.
right.
And of course, if they're looking at somebody or something or doing a live model or a life drawing or something, then there's way more detail and it's different.
Hmm.
It's like even I don't know if you've ever read Empowered. Have you ever read Empowered? You know what I'm talking
Empowered?
about? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I don't think so.
Are you
Is that the
serious?
one with the female?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Who
might
whose
have.
suit like always breaks or whatever?
What always breaks?
Her suit like it always gets it's Adam Warren like his like he
I don't know if I've read it or not.
his superhero is it's totally manga looking, but his superhero is this chick, right? And she's got
Mhm.
like this super powered suit, but it always like explodes like in battle or whatever, and so then she's
Okay.
like loses her powers as it explodes. Anyway, the point is like it's super like manga style and simplified, but he does all these like on his Adam Warren. He does all these on his Instagram and stuff. He does like life drawings and anatomy studies, and they're
Oh yeah.
super
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
accurate
Yeah.
and like they're
I'm looking at it right now.
like for real like anatomy, and you're like, oh crap. So I mean, they know how to do it, but it's just they're
Oh damn.
simplifying it for the Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm
Like,
gonna bring it up right now so everyone can
and he
see.
actually went to the Kubert school too, so
Oh
that was
really?
cool. Yeah, so it was
Well,
really cool. Like like going to because the Kubert School has a library, you know, and you can go and you can check out comics and stuff for homework or whatever. Yeah, that guy, and that's his character there. So it's like mixed in like this simple style, but
Wow.
look at that, like he's
Yeah.
so good. But they had some of his comics in the library, and I'd be like, man, this is great. This is a breath of fresh air.
That's pretty amazing. Wow.
Yeah, he's super good. You should follow him.
I do actually, because it
Oh, do
sounds
you?
so familiar. Yeah, I do follow him. Yeah, when I'm making it, I would look at like Sean Galloway, and I love his simplicity and how powerful he can make things with such few lines.
Yeah.
And I would be like, I like the way he tucks in this muscle to this muscle, but it's all I'm really looking at is I like this line, but I can't do that from a different angle. So it was kind of unhelpful when I attempted to redo it, because it's like I don't know what that looks like from the back. So now that I'm learning how things actually have shape and learning values and learning anatomy, I think I'm getting to a point where I can do things from different angles, actually,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
not just the same lines over and over again.
And that's what's super hard, is being able to take a character and turn them around from every angle. And I don't know if you follow Kim Jung-gi at all, but he like does that crap in his head. Like we went to some, we actually saw him in the city in New York, and he was doing some live drawing demos and stuff, and he was just doing it, man, with straight pen and brush, and
like on walls and shit, right?
Yeah. And but what he said is he before he starts drawing, he sees like that image in whatever shape or form, and then he just like does the lines. But like he is like ridiculous. And I'm like,
his brain works in a pretty special way, I think. Yeah.
I mean it has to. Like
he's like light years beyond. Oh my god. Yeah, so that's, I mean, for me personally, that's kind of my area of growth right now is fundamentals. So how about you? Well, like, is there anything you're focusing on right now, or that you will focus on as far as your own growth?
Right now it's just I am focusing a little bit on the shortcuts of the characters that were introduced in Ninjas and Robots. Just making sure I have their anatomy nailed down and simplifying. And part of the thing I'm doing for the Kickstarter is like basically signing and numbering and sketching and all the covers. So a lot of it's been a lot of repeat, and even drawing like Yuki, like after drawing her like 150 times in these things, like you start to learn what to simplify and stuff. But at the same time, I'm trying to keep in mind anatomy, and I always want to push my anatomy to the next level and make it better. Just female and male, just in general. And then for the second book, I really want to push the action. I want to get some of that like epic, like anime style, like action, where you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But for the first book, there were a lot of deadlines. Like I was cranking out pages, man. Like I was doing anywhere from 2 to 4 pages a day.
Wow.
So it's hard to hit all the little details or to go back and fix stuff, because my pencils are loose anyway. But then I would just go and I would ink it, and I'd be like, man, we gotta go, this is it. And it is what it is. And sometimes you go back in and you change stuff digitally or whatever in Photoshop, but like it just kind of was what it was, and some of it was really, really great, and some of it was almost there. But for the next one, I really want to take the time and just kind of plot out some of those action scenes and stuff, and have more of a cinematic feel. I think would be super epic. So it's like a kung fu movie or something in comic form. Would be cool for me.
I know. With me with issue 2, I definitely took my time more with paneling and trying to pace the story. With issue 2. With issue 3, my goal is to have more time in the backgrounds. Just developing the scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Issue 2 was like panels, dialogue, and then issue 3, I really want to go all out with the other stuff that I feel like I lack in.
Yeah, man. Backgrounds are one of the characters to the story. They kind of set the scene, and like you have to treat them almost like a character, and it's hard. Like especially if you don't have time, it's hard. Like there's not many backgrounds. Some of it was intentional because on one hand, if the background is a character and it's too much in detail, then it's going to take away from the foreground, which is the characters in action and motion. So a lot of it was intentionally pushed
Mhm.
back or blurred back or
Sure.
intentionally left out. So it didn't compete with that. But at the same time, it's got to be there. You got to have the lulls, you got to have the
Yeah.
quiet moments for your brain to rest and be like, let me breathe and kind of reestablish where they are and what's happening. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's key. And I need to do that too, and some of it was time. Some of it was, I was rushing through it, not rushing, but like
Well,
I was aware of my time constraints. Like I wouldn't put out something that I just,
no, I don't think you put something out like you weren't proud of or whatever.
yeah, no, I'm proud of it. It's
You should be,
good.
man. It's phenomenal.
I appreciate that.
But I thought your pacing was real nice in it. There was definitely a couple of moments that I sent them to you in DM
Hmm.
where it's like I got like sucked into it, you know?
That's awesome.
Like if I feel like you got me to do what you wanted me to experience, you know, or experience what
You,
you intended.
and it's funny because the moments you sent me were like they were ones that I had deliberately thought about that, and I had
Mhm.
deliberately wanted people to kind of enter in that time, and I was as I was drawing them. But it's like you do whatever 80 pages, and then you kind of like do all the post production and everything, and you kind of forget about it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So then when you sent it back, I was like, oh yeah, I remember these. And these are cool, and it's not something that the normal or the average reader is just going to be like, oh, analyzing it to that level. So to
Mhm.
have you analyze it as an artist was like super treat. I was like,
Oh, nice.
oh, this is amazing. Like yeah, he got it. You know what I mean?
Right on.
And it's like for other people, I'm just like, okay, does it look cool? And is it more or less coherent where they can understand kind of what's happening and who's who and what's what,
Yeah.
and you don't really think, like, you don't expect too much out of it. So when they really break it down, they're like, oh, you did this thing and that thing, you're like, yeah, I totally did. I'm so glad you got that. So that was
That's
awesome.
great.
That
That's
was super
great.
cool.
Yeah, I think a lot. No matter what I'm drawing, I think about how people are going to experience it.
Yeah,
You know,
why don't you pull
I
up some of your stuff, man? You haven't
Because
pulled
I'm
up your
talking to you.
second
That's
book.
why.
That's all right, I'm talking to you, so pull up your stuff. Let's
Oh,
see
for
it.
real?
Yeah, I want to see that second book.
What
So
on it?
good.
On Instagram, you actually bring up the actual book.
Bring them the actual book, man. Let's see some of the pages. Not all
Uh,
of them. They need to buy the book, but some of the pages.
all right.
That was good. And indeed, you were like quoting Buddha and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Oh yeah, you like that kind of stuff, huh?
Yeah,
That's
it's a
awesome.
little philosophy, and it's good, man.
Yeah, and
I'm digging it.
so I don't want to sound like a douchebag or anything, but there's a lot of like depth to these characters that I haven't even like. It's there if you look really hard for it.
Yeah,
But I can't go into all the. There's just not enough pages, you know.
yeah, yeah,
So what I would like to do is record a video of like a director's cut, or director's commentary,
yeah, yeah.
where I can give people more information into actually what's going on. Like this, even this panel right down here, the bottom right one that's filled with white, like it's white for a
Mm-hmm.
reason.
Okay.
This is all white in the background for a reason. This is all white. There's lots of blank white, and it fits their characters all for a reason. Though I just can't get into it, but it's there for a reason, you know.
Yeah, I got you, man.
But yeah,
And
this
it's
is where
great.
I'm like, I'm trying to tell a story and
I
panels,
love
and
that character. Like his expressions are like phenomenal. Like he cracks me up. He's
I
hilarious.
like, yeah, Org was someone that people enjoyed a lot, and he so as far as experience goes,
Mm-hmm.
I was intending for him to take over the book.
Okay.
Masako is the scolder, but I don't know if you noticed it, but like she's always within a panel. She's small and within a panel all the time. She's always overshadowed by something else. So
Yeah.
even like in this one where she's jumping out of the plane, she's cut off in her head right here.
Yeah.
But she's confined within the panel, and he breaks panels. He's got a bigger personality. He's making jokes.
He
So
does make a lot of
I
jokes.
wanted him to like be the star in a way, even though she's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But that fits her personality. They're again, they're for a reason. And even right now, she's hiding behind balloons. There's a big old turtle thing in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah. So
and
the experience, like people got that. People would write. A couple of people wrote to me saying like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, that was the point. Cool.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, he was definitely the emotional, not just the comedic relief, but he was the one who showed the only emotion. You don't really see her face except for the first panel, I think, or
Yeah.
the first page, the first splash page.
Hmm.
Besides that, you don't see her face at all,
Right.
or get much from her. So, how do you feel about blood? You said earlier that blood is not, you like the robots because not a bunch of blood.
No, I mean that's cool. I don't. It's not that I don't like blood. It's just I don't know. Like I did. I think I did. Well, I mean, it's not completely necessary. Like it depends on what it is. Like I feel like what you did there was very artistic and cinematic, and
Hmm.
yeah, here like that works. Like you totally know what's happening, and it's super cool. And some martial arts movies are like that. Also,
Yeah.
sometimes they're just over the top, and
Yeah.
you're just like, all right, well, I don't really get the point of this. But I think it was more because I have a kid, and my kid
Yeah.
I mean, he's 13 now, so he's a little bit older. But back when I started, I had this one scene, and it wasn't even a lot of blood, but it was like my main female character kicked one of the guys in the face, and like so he had all his blood coming out of his
Yeah.
nose.
Yeah.
My kid's like, "Oh, that's a lot of blood," and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, it's
I'm
not
yeah.
really, but
I definitely feel you on that one because I won't let my daughter read any of this stuff.
okay, then
She'll be able
yeah."
to read Astropig when I make Astropig, but no, this is not something I'll let my children read. Because
What
there's potty language in it. There's blood. There's violence. No.
is there potty language? I don't remember.
There is in issue one. There's a
Okay.
little bit more, but issue two,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, towards the
there's
end.
some.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
at the
yeah.
end, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
But it just I don't know. It's like if I'm gonna make a comic, I want to be able to enjoy it. I like R-rated things. I found out when I used to work at a video store back when those existed, and I found out that I love like kung fu movies John
Mm-hmm.
Woo. Anything with John
I
Woo,
like John
with
Woo. Yeah. Hmm.
excessive blood and bullets. Like I just that stuff spoke to me.
What's your favorite John Woo movie?
Tie between The Killer and Hard Boiled. A
Okay.
Better Tomorrow is phenomenal.
Hmm.
I don't think there's anything he made that I didn't like. I don't think until I got to the American stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So yeah, I don't shy away from the blood stuff. Something about it. I kind of like the balance between the heavy violence,
Hmm.
but also these characters do have their. And I haven't gone too much into it, but there is a heavy emotional backstory for each of them.
Yeah.
And I've only done the backstory for Nick's on my website. If you go to that, but there's something about that balance that I like of a
Yeah.
heavy violence but also substance to it.
Well, and I think it works, especially with there's just something about red blood on white snow, and so a
Yeah,
lot of
it looks
that,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of that really, really works. It's very trying to think what are some good ones like maybe House of Flying Daggers.
I've seen that
Um
one.
oh, are you kidding me? That one's great. I'm
No.
trying to remember if that's the one with the snow at the end. I
There's
feel like
Lady
it
Lady
is.
Snowblood.
Yeah, no, that's not one. No, I'm
Oh,
just
okay.
kidding. I don't know. But
Lady
yeah, how
Snowblood. Have you seen that one?
no.
Oh, that's the one that inspired Kill Bill. Quentin Tarantino
Is
likes that
it?
one. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
it's
I
really
don't
cool.
think so.
Um,
No,
this
I
is
have like 5 or 10 that like I actually own. You know what I mean? And I watch those over and over.
ah,
But I haven't seen that one.
that was cool. This is the only panel I think where she's busting out of it because now she's charging and
Mm-hmm.
angry. Well, not angry, but she's charging and she's attacking. So I have her breaking out of panel really. Yeah, and then a whole bunch of blood.
Yeah. No, I mean none of that. Like I thought it was all. It was
This
all
is the
cool.
only time really where I have, and if people don't want to read this while I'm posting, I don't care if they read it. They can read it if you want, but spoiler. I felt
Mm-hmm.
iffy about doing the girls here too. I don't because I like that Masako wasn't this like super sexy female.
Mm-hmm.
She's an older Japanese woman who doesn't really have much going on besides being heavily violent.
Yeah.
But then I felt for the character, the bad guy at the end, that he would keep these hot alien slave women, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I put him in there, but I definitely don't want to be going like the gratuitous, sexy route, with these books.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a challenge. There's I mean there's so much beauty and strength, and even strength and beauty itself. You know what I mean? And so for me, like, I wanted to have these, you know, really strong, beautiful female characters, but I didn't want them posing like they would in some, like, you know, magazine or whatever. I mean, who stands like that? Like, that's
Yeah.
stupid. Like, I
Yeah.
wanted them functional and action packed and strong. You know, they're powerful and able to do their own thing.
I
And
think
so
I got
there's a
that.
balance.
I
Yeah.
think you did a good job with the balance. There was some sexiness there, but it wasn't like broken back, you know, hanging out in the water kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I try not to, you know. And I mean, I'm married, and
Yeah.
for me, my wife is the most beautiful, you know, woman on the
Of
planet. But
course.
it's like, well, of course. But it's like, you know, she's also a very strong person, and so I want to
Mm.
show that. And it's like, I don't know, man. People sometimes just do weird stuff with girls, and the way they draw them and
Yeah.
portray them, and it's like, come on, dude. Like, you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Even like I've been spending a lot of time looking at Arthur Adams on Instagram,
Yeah,
and he incredible artist obviously, but he definitely goes pretty heavy on the cleavage and the boobs, you know.
well, and it's
Even
not.
like angle wise, like one of them's always sticking out more. It seems like I think my
Yeah.
wife saw it and she's like, "That's not that's not right."
Appropriate. Let's not anatomically correct. Yeah, and that's hard, because again, that goes to, for me, it's like, okay, like, the cover of a swimsuit magazine is not a superhero. Like, they're
Right,
not gonna do that. Like,
right.
if you've ever met, like, there's some really hot, like, MMA fighters that they
Yeah,
will kill you, like, you will
sure.
die, like, and they're hot, but like in a different way. So
Hmm.
it's not the weird, like, and so a lot of like artists get sucked into this pinup thing where,
Yeah.
like, that's all that it is, and that's all they do, and some people like that, and I'm sure that, you know, most 13-year-olds think that's awesome or whatever. But it's like, I don't know, I feel like we, at some point, we need to transcend that, and
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, that's maybe a whole nother conversation.
Well, at the same time, like men don't look the way they look in comics, right?
Some of them do, yeah.
Good lord. All right. Well.
I'm just no, they don't. You know, and that's kind of the thing, is the whole mythology of it. You know, the
Mhm.
superhero status. Like, I haven't met any men that look like, you know, Greek statues. You know what I
Right. Right.
mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I mean, I don't. I
Yeah.
wish I did. I wish I looked like David or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's like, you know, who does? And it's the same thing. And so I think you're presenting it, you know, in this way, and but I don't know. There's definitely in my opinion, a way that I would prefer to see it. But that's me.
All right. Hey, we actually have a question. If you want to take it, do you have
Yeah,
time?
sure. Absolutely.
I know it's a lot later over there.
No, I'm good, man.
All right.
I'm here.
Evermin, thank you for joining us, Evermin, and asking for a question or asking a question.
Oh yeah, everyone told me it was. Is he? I don't
I
know.
don't know, but it's one of your followers.
Yeah, I think so.
If you guys are taking questions, can I ask what media, such as animated films or shows or comics, inspired you while growing up? We've kind of talked about that a little bit. What do you say?
Well, you didn't answer that question.
I said John Woo, and I said,
You didn't say when you were growing up. You just said
oh,
you liked all
oh.
John Woo's films.
Well, I worked in the video store when I was 17. Does that count?
Yeah, that means you watched everything.
I watched a ton. Dude, that was I loved that job, and it was
Wait, what was the name of the video store?
Scott Super Video. Well, first one was Blockbuster Video
All right.
for a year, and then I went to an independent video store, which was like the coolest experience. And I was, working with my friends and hanging out and watching incredible movies, and it was a blast. But that's, I think, so John Woo. I like horror stuff a lot. That clicked with me, like the John Woo stuff. I was like, you can make a movie like this, like.
Yeah.
He's got guys getting shot unnecessarily like 10 times. He's obviously dead, but he's like Chow Yun Fat just keeps going. It's like, this is so awesome. So there was that, but growing up, Transformers, G.I. Joe, that stuff I still love. Spider-Man has always been the biggest influence on me. As far as the character goes, I've always clicked with Spider-Man for some reason.
Like animated or comic book wise?
Any. Honestly, yeah, any.
Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'll even take the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie. Yeah, both the
Wait,
Amazing
you did?
Spider-Man.
You didn't like it? You did like it?
I did, yeah. I enjoyed
Oh
both of
yeah,
those. Yeah,
that was cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think those growing up, yeah, that was my life growing up. I mean, real young, it was Transformers, all Saturday morning cartoon stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then as I got older, it was movies, films. I really got into like action and foreign stuff, and yeah. How about you?
So it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, obviously.
Oh yeah,
Obviously, that
yep,
cartoon was amazing. There were tons of other things on back then. So there was like
yeah,
Thundercats, there was like Silverhawks,
yep.
that kind of style of art in the 90s. Of course,
Mask.
there was yeah, and there was Power Rangers, the Mighty Morphin Power
Mm,
Rangers. And I kind of wanted to be a Power Ranger for a while. I mean, not like a real, like I wanted to be on the show. Like I was like, oh, this needs to be my
sure.
job. Like I want to do that. What else? Voltron was super big. There was Nintendo stuff that was out that I was super into, Ninja Gaiden and stuff. I was really into. And of course, Akira came out, and there was of course Ninja Scroll.
Yeah. That
What
one
else?
blew when I saw that away. That was when I saw that Ninja Scroll for the first time. That was another one of those moments where it's like people can make something like this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was unbelievable.
yeah.
That was unbelievable. I have a friend now that's a ninja, and that he owns a ninja school. But I remember like watching
That's
Ninja
crazy.
Scroll. Like I can't tell you how many times I watched it. But
Yeah,
he came over because he lived across the street, and he was like, "Yo, do you know want to watch Ninja Scroll or do you want to live Ninja Scroll?"
yeah,
Because he was trying to get me to go out and train. You know what I mean? And I was like, right this second, I kind of want to watch it, but it was like, I mean, I did eventually end up going out and training, but it was just such a fantastic, like, it was like, I had never seen anything quite like that. Like,
yeah,
that was,
yeah,
and there was some
yeah,
stuff in there that was like a little much for me, but all in
yeah,
all, cinematically, it was
yeah.
fantastic. And
Phenomenal.
then, and then later on, of course, there was Cowboy Bebop, and there was
Oh yeah.
Samurai Champloo. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yes. Trigun.
And yeah. And so
The storytelling of I didn't realize for early. Oh, actually, Everman has a follow up question, but with anime, I love how there was like it was like a season and that was it. Whereas with our American cartoons, it was like Transformers season one,
mhm,
season two, season three, and it kept
yeah,
going. But
yeah.
anime like Trigun, it would have a full story in one season. That was it. I love that.
Yeah. Well, that's how a lot of the Shinichiro Watanabe stuff is, like, Samurai Champloo or,
Mhm.
Cowboy Bebop. It's like
Yeah,
it's like the X amount of the 26 episodes or whatever it is, and that's it. It's
yeah,
done. It's over. And he felt like, I read an interview, like he felt like that was it, and he didn't have more that he wanted to tell. He didn't want to drag it on. And of course, us the fans were
yes.
like, drag this on, please. I want more. But he felt like, he was just gonna get in there, one and done, and that was it.
I
And
like that. It's a complete story.
it's pretty cool. Like, it's
Yeah.
definitely pretty cool. Like, and he did it
I
really
really like
well.
I like how I remember in Trigun it felt like it was divided in half. Like the first half of this story crescendoed like in the middle, and then it
Hmm.
kind of dipped down and did it all over again. And it was this
Yeah,
awesome build up, and then down, and then build up again. I think
yeah,
that influences the way I'm telling my 6 arc story because issue 3 will be a definite crescendo, and then kind of go down, back down and pick back up again.
yeah.
Animes, I think anime influences like everybody, right?
It does, man. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so much. Well, even like Voltron, dude, was
Oh
like,
yeah.
it was anime. Like, it was like it
Yeah.
came over.
Yep.
It was not. We didn't draw that, and so it was like I didn't realize that's what it was. I was just, as a little kid, you're just like, this looks amazing,
Mhm.
and I love it. Even the Ninja Turtles intro, dude, was
Oh
done.
yeah.
It was
The
freaking
first
great.
the first 5 episodes
Yes.
they have a much different animation style and it's
Hmm.
really good.
It's so good.
You notice that too?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah.
amazing,
I
dude.
like that.
But then later on, it gets to the regular show where they're
It
just
falls
cranking
apart.
it out, and it's like what is this garbage? And of course, I still loved it because it
Yeah,
was what it was, but it didn't
yeah.
look cool. Like, it didn't look like the intro.
Have you tried to rewatch the original cartoon at all?
Yeah, I have it on DVD.
It's really
So
bad.
It's super bad. I tried to get my kid to watch it, and he was like, "No, Dad." He was like,
My
"No."
daughter got into it when she was like 5 or 6, and we didn't finish it, but she was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool."
Yeah,
She liked it.
shit. But I also tried to get my kid to watch Dragon Ball Z, and he like he got super freaked out when Goku died the first time. He was like,
I've never.
"Oh," he's like, "I know, and I know you haven't seen that."
I'm sorry, dude.
That's
I'm sorry.
weird,
But
man.
now I know Goku dies at least once, so you've
Yeah.
ruined something for me.
See, no, you're okay. It's like in the first episode. You see all those books? That's all Dragon Ball up there. You see that? Yeah.
All right.
Might have
So
to send you
his
one for
follow-up
Christmas.
question is,
what?
he said,
Tell me.
"Well, I'm trying to."
I'm sorry.
He said, like, when you were in the phase of realizing you wanted to pursue art. So what was influencing us at that moment where we realized that art was important to us and we wanted to pursue it?
All right, you can go first.
I didn't realize that art was important to me until I had pretty much finished college, and it wasn't art college; it was psychology. And once I was done with college, or right around the end of it, graffiti art was really like blowing me away. You know, I was starting to notice how cool it was, and how just blown away by how people could do that with like a spray can in the middle of the night and have it be, look amazing. So that was really impressing me. So I started just doodling in like a sketchbook with that. That's where it started. And then, but that was just messing around. And then I kind of got back into drawing, like superhero stuff, just in my sketchbook, doodling, not taking it seriously. And then I was on YouTube and I saw people doing custom shoes. And that was another moment where it was like, you can do that? Like you can draw on a shoe? That blew me away. And so I started that's where I really got back into art in an attempt to make money and make a name out of Justin Prime. Was doing custom shoes.
Is that your real name?
No.
Okay.
My real name was associated with a whole different profession. I don't want to cross it over.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just wasn't sure.
No, it's not. It's Justin Prime is my Xbox Live name from high school, and it still is actually.
Is it like Optimus Prime?
Yeah, Justin plus Optimus Prime. Yeah,
okay, that makes sense.
Not very. That's all the thought I put into it.
All right, cool.
Yeah, so the custom shoes thing, that's what was like, oh, that got me going. And then I started realizing that I really like comic books, and I really, really like reading them. I like drawing them, and I kind of want to, try it out. So I started off with fan art. Who I don't know who at that time I was really into, but I know Joe Madera. Oh, Joe Madera, Humberto Ramos. Scotty Young. Scotty Young was a big one.
Yeah, he's
early Scotty Young. The stuff he's doing now is cool, but it's not clicking for me as much as it used to. But that graffiti style, Scotty Young. Those artists that kind of brought this different kind of energy into comics, that really intrigued me, and I think feeds into what I'm doing now still.
So that's when you decided it was for real, huh?
Yeah, I was taking it more and more seriously, and then only a few years ago, I was getting bored with what I was doing, which was just fan art, and I realized I wasn't enjoying it, and I realized that it's time to make my own thing, and that's where Scolders kind of eventually came about.
Yeah. I think for me, it was kind of leaving the art world and then just doing the regular, ordinary retail thing forever, and I hated it, man. Like I hated it. Like it was bad, and especially towards the end, it got super bad. And I mean, I was trying to do something. I got inspired again. I think it was really like I think when I really started getting back into comics, because I'd kind of gotten out of comics.
Yeah.
And I picked up like a Shonen Jump magazine because it had Dragon Ball on the cover. And inside it had Naruto. And I was like, oh, this is cool. They're ninjas. I was like, oh, this is cool or whatever. So I started reading Naruto. And that was actually the only manga I had gotten like 1, 2, 3, 4, like up to like 40 or whatever. And I was reading them and I was like super into it. And I was like, this is rad. And then Bakuman came out, and it's like the story of these two like middle school kids who want to get published and draw comics or whatever. And so it's really like it's and I don't know that you've ever read it, but it's by the guys that did Death Note. So the art is great and the story is great, and it gives a really like cool like kind of insight into making manga in Japan and kind of going through the editorial process and creating characters and writing stories. So there's a lot of just like information that's in it. And it was super interesting. And I was like, oh man, I need to do that. So, I mean, I was working the regular job, and then just on nights and weekends, I was doing like different contests. Like I did MICC for Japan, and I did some contests here in the States and contests for Japan, and was mailing stuff off and trying to do it. And just wasn't hearing a lot back and wasn't whatever, which, you know, I mean, looking back at the art, it was in the storytelling, it was pretty bad back then. But I mean, that was kind of it. And so it was kind of like doing it and realizing that I didn't want to do this other job, that I wanted to do art because that was way better than doing this other thing. But then, you know, the two worlds were conflicting. It was like, I can't work and draw. I can't work and meet this deadline. And like, I can't really just quit the job because, you know, you need to make money or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the only viable thing at that particular time seemed to be like I was thinking either like take a year off and really try to do comics or go to art school. And so I ended up going to art school because that seemed the wiser of the two options. And in retrospect, it was, because I think I leveled up way more doing that than I would have just at home on my own. Because you don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? So it's like there's so much that we don't quite realize, but until someone says, "Oh, hey, you shouldn't be doing it that way because of this," like you just don't know.
Yeah.
So that's when I really got serious. And then after having that huge like student loan debt, it's like, oh man, I better be like super serious.
Yeah.
My wife's gonna kill me. Yeah.
We got another question if you're ready for it.
Yeah, for sure.
David Acuff.
Yeah, Acuff. That's my brother-in-law.
Oh, right on. It says, great interview, guys. Well, thank you, David. David. So which part strikes you first for building the story out? The pictures or the words, the doodles or the outlines? What do you think?
You can go first.
You get time to think.
No, I can go first. Okay. So for sure, 100% it's the pictures. I don't actually sit and write stories. I hate typing. I hate writing. I used to like it. David and I used to write scripts and stories, and that was a thing. Like we wanted to make these. We wanted to make The Matrix before it was The Matrix. We wanted to make live action anime. That's what we wanted to do. And it's just too hard to make movies. Like I was like, man, I gotta draw comics.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the dream. Like he does movies. He's in California doing movie stuff.
Oh, right.
Over here on the East Coast doing comic stuff.
Wow.
But that was kind of the thing. So for me, like at this point, I hate writing. It takes too much time. I just want to draw. So I'll start drawing pictures and sketches, and I'm like, this would be a dope story. And if you ever really if you ever really analyze any one of my drawings, there's lots of little weird stuff, and it doesn't mean anything to anybody, but there's so much story in it. There's so much thought that I put in it about everything that happened before this moment and everything that happens after this moment. And so this is just a moment. This is a snapshot right in the middle of that. And so I kind of think of it that way. And so I'm always thinking about stories and everything, but I have to draw it. Like I don't want to write words. I want to draw stuff and see how it flows. And that's the thing is, like, as a freelance commercial artist, like a lot of people will bring me scripts and say, hey, can we turn this into a comic? But it's a script or it's a story, and you read it and it's like, and especially if it's a script, you're like, yeah, this will not work. As a drawing, you cannot draw this into a page. This one page that you've written is going to take like 8 pages.
Right.
Because you've got way too many actions in each panel. You can only have one major action in a panel, like, or it gets confusing. Like you have to tell the story that way. And people don't get that because they don't draw. They just write. So for me, I just draw. And that's my answer. What's your answer?
I can go either way. I actually like the process of writing a lot. I feel like the brainstorming, I like it. I write everything down. I have a Google Doc for like everything.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Awesome. I have a bunch of scripts that I haven't, like all 6 issues of my arc are done for Sculptor Stories. They're written.
Oh, nice.
and it's super fun. I feel like I'm putting together this puzzle, like, and the challenge that I like a lot is to have it be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that a lot. It
Yeah.
feels like the math of it, and then the drawing is the fun, artistic, creative part of it. Because whatever I write, I always end up changing on the page. But I like to have, I like the writing part a lot, and the way it starts for me. If I see, like, the original sculpture design was not by me; it was by my younger brother, who's a creative, like, mastermind, just genius. And he had this really cool army thing called, he called it a sculpture, and I asked him if I could use that. So I had the image first, and then I tweaked it, and then I developed it into a story because it just kind of flowed that way. Astropig was the same way. I doodled it, just kind of blotted out, just for fun, and
Yeah.
turning into something else. And I'm enjoying the writing process of that. I think it goes both ways, but I think also the thing that helps me with that really gets me going on the writing is the emotional stuff of my characters. So in my day job, I do psychology. I'm a therapist. So emotions and, like, trauma and all that stuff is what I do day in, day out. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't take people's stories, but I definitely uh, speak to those experiences.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so far in Scolder stories, my characters each have, even if I haven't gone into it, they each have a very messed up upbringing or background or trauma. And that, I don't know, that speaks to me. Like, it's like what drives people, that's really important of what I put into my characters,
Yeah.
you know?
That's
So
cool, and I feel like something like that would really resonate with people. You know what I mean? Meet them
I
where
think
they're
so.
at. That's cool.
I think so. And I hope to have time. The goal is to have the 6 issues, and then for each issue, I have a half issue,
Mm.
and but it's like a side thing too. And it's just, I'm putting the issues first, but even that's taking a while. So I don't know if I'll ever get to it, but these things do exist, and they're already written out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this Hayao Miyazaki like documentary that was on Netflix for a while. And basically like his thing was, he didn't know the ending of the story while he was doing it. Like so for a lot of the films and stuff, like he would just kind of like storyboard it and then
Mm.
not know where it was going to go and just kind of organically see where it was going to go.
Oh, wow.
And that's so different. Like if you read like the DC Comics handbook, it's like always write the end first, know where you're
Oh,
going,
really?
and then kind of build to it that way. Yeah. So it's like the complete opposite of that. So different people do different stuff.
I've found it's I like, and this is what I'm doing for Astropig is I don't know the ending. I have no idea what the story is yet, but I'm
Hmm.
getting there, and I know how it begins, and then I'm asking myself, what will this character do next? And so that's kind of how I'm building my story. And I
Yeah,
feel like if you have I know I've noticed to myself, when I have the ending, I will write to the ending, and that's just filler. Like, it's not real anymore.
yeah.
And if you watch shows like Sons of Anarchy or Breaking Bad, they might have known the ending, but it feels like these are big issues that these characters are getting into, and, like, how the hell are they going to get out of this?
Yeah,
Where usually in movies, how characters are going to get in and out of things. They're going to end up winning in the end. And, like, in Sons of Anarchy, you have no idea who's going to live or die at the end, really, or from episode to episode. Everything's up in the air. Like, you there's no safety net. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I think that organic piece of it, and not knowing what's going to come next, and writing based on, like, the character and what trouble they're in. I'm figuring that out, and I'm really enjoying it.
that's cool, man.
Anyhow, um,
We got more
Everman
questions?
says, "Huh?
I said, do we have more questions?
Yeah, if you don't mind."
No, let's go.
Alrighty. Everman, my kids are asleep, so I'm down to talk. Everman says, "Eric, I'm walking down the exact same road as you. Haha. Both your answers gave me great information." I think that was about, he had asked about, or she.
Yeah, the journey
Yeah.
for becoming an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, and it's a journey. You never really get there. Like we're still getting there. Everyone's still getting there, and it was
Where?
cool. Like
Getting where?
everybody's answer is different. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yep.
Like you have the star that you follow. I have the star that I follow. Whatever, and we get
But, like,
wherever we're supposed to be.
Do you have a direction that you're heading?
I mean, kind of. Like it's super vague. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I have this it's almost like a feeling of what it is I want to do
Mm,
and what it is that inspires me. And so that's what I try to capture. But
mm,
because your art is always getting better, you're not quite there. You know what I mean?
mm.
And it was cool. Like my third year of the Kubert school, I got to meet Humberto Ramos, right?
Oh,
So I talked to him, and it was super cool. He actually took the time to just kind of tell me about his journey and how he got where he is.
wow.
And the thing you take for granted is he's been doing this forever, man. Everybody knows that name now. If you see his
Yeah.
artwork, you're
Yeah.
gonna know his art. But he's like, man, I've been doing this for 30 plus years. Like,
Oh,
it
wow.
takes a long time to get to where you're going and to kind of develop your own style and kind of find your own voice. And so that's it. Like, you're either growing and changing, or you become kind of obsolete. You become, you got to be relevant, And so in order to do that, it's not just giving people what they want. It's
Yeah.
just it's the inner search. It's kind of pushing yourself to the next level instead of just putting the same thing out again and again and again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think even on Instagram it's the same thing. Like, if you look at picture after picture and it's exactly the same, then you're like, oh, I've kind of seen this before.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's reassuring, sometimes it's refreshing. When you see Jim Lee's drawing, that is Jim Lee, whatever it is. But sometimes, you want to see something new.
Yeah.
You want to see him actually try something different for him. And and it's I mean, he's great, but it's kind of the same thing. It's just the journey.
Yeah.
So
It is. Yeah. But it has stood the test of time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Have you seen his Batman Unwrapped?
Yeah, it's just like the pencil or black and white or
Yeah,
something.
it's the pencil.
Pretty amazing. Yeah.
It's freaking gorgeous, dude. That's
Yeah.
actually what got me back into American comics. Is I was kind of
Oh,
done
wow.
with American comics, and then his Batman Unwrapped was amazing. And then of course you got Capullo's Batman Unwrapped,
Oh,
which is
man.
also super ridiculous, and you're just
Yeah.
like, it's rough.
Yeah. I forgot what the question was.
I don't know. What's the next question? We got more?
Were you just answering? I thought you were answering a question right now.
No, I think I
What?
was just talking. I just like to talk.
Oh, I had asked you if you knew where you were going, so I don't know where I'm going. I have no idea.
I don't
But
know. Where are you going?
I don't know. I
What
have
are
no
you
idea.
doing? Yes, you do. You have 6 issues.
Oh, yeah. But as far as that's what I'm doing is I want to make those, but that's beyond that. I don't have an end goal in mind. I don't know if I want to work for any companies.
You want to work for yourself for right now. You want to finish those.
I'm totally happy with that because
you want to book cons. You want to sell your books.
I don't do
when
cons
you do
anymore.
Kickstarters. You want to message everyone on
Never
your
do a
Facebook.
Kickstarter again. I'm done with them. It's I know I want to tell my story, and that's my goal. And then I'm starting up AstroPig, and I'm working on my fundamentals. I'm totally super happy with that right now. I have no idea what.
Do you have enough time to like do that stuff and do a regular job?
Yeah, I make it happen.
Kid stuff and family stuff, and
I make it happen. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, the answer is yes.
Yes,
I don't have enough time, so I don't get to stay at home and work on being an artist the entire day, but I poke at it as much as I can.
I don't either. Like, I wish I did. Like, I don't like, this is my job.
Right.
But really it's like the real world is, you wake up at 6, you get your kid ready for school, you pack lunches.
Oh yeah.
You send them off to school, then you get X amount of hours to work, and then you pick them up from school, and then you're doing like homework, and then your wife's getting off, and you're making dinner, and you're taking the dog for walks, and doesn't poop the carpet, and by the time you get back, dude, it's like you just don't know if you have any more drawing in you. But then you got to do it because you got a deadline. So it's like, all right.
Well, you do, not me.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
No, my day, except for I go to my job. I don't do the drawing job at home. It sounds very, very similar to yours. I think what's helped me is to narrow my focus. And I've cut a lot of things out, like conventions. I stopped doing those because they're so time consuming, and I don't I don't live off this right now, so that was something I had the luxury of being able to cut off. Yeah. But so I have no idea what my life as an artist will be like in 5 years. I have no vision for it, but I'm super happy with what I'm doing right now, and that's what my focus is.
That's key though, man. You need to be happy with what you're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
That's cool.
So all right, let's see another one. Hey guys, great interview. Thank you, Gas Key C1.
Hey, I know that guy.
Really? You're
Yeah.
bringing the people in, man. Thank you. See, I have more followers than you, but where the hell are they, huh?
I don't know,
You
man.
see?
I guess all mine live on the West Coast. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. What is your guys' favorite series of comics or graphic novels currently, and favorite artist currently?
Ninjas and Robots, ERIK KLAUS. Just kidding. Kidding.
But
That was your answer, by the way, Justin. That was
no, right. I was gonna say it.
All right.
For real, like you are right now. You're definitely up there for me. You're way up there for me on Instagram. I'm really enjoying what you're doing because I feel the enjoyment and the creativity when I see what you're doing. It feels very genuine. I don't know. It just feels creative.
I
and
have
fun.
fun, man. I have fun.
So I pick up on that. So and it looks cool, and I like ninjas, and I like robots, and I like girls. So it's just you're really on point for me right now. My favorite artist currently, Sean Galloway. Every time I see his artwork, it just I don't know and him and Eric Canetti.
Oh my gosh, he's so good.
Unreal.
Yeah, unbelievable.
So those two right now I'm blown away by. Arthur Adams, I'm also really enjoying with just the amount of detail and stuff he throws in there, and I'm not even close to that. So those three right now are kind of blowing me away. Others as well, but those three pop into my mind right now. Well, and you. So
do you have any of his sketchbooks, Arthur Adams?
No.
Just gonna let that one go.
All right. Yeah, I don't buy stuff.
That's right. You do your digital.
I don't buy stuff.
I forgot.
And then what I'm reading right now, I read stuff online. Don't be mad at me.
I'm mad at you.
I don't pay for comics. Don't be mad at me, dude.
I'm mad at you.
I'm reading the Ultimates. I'm really enjoying it.
Is that it? Just the Ultimate?
That's what I'm reading right now. Yeah, I'm reading through all the Ultimate stuff. Yeah, right now. Actually, I'm really enjoying it. How about you? What is your favorite series or currently?
Okay, so I don't have time to read. Like I draw too much.
Yeah.
I do, and I told Justin this, but I do actively collect the Usagi Yojimbo saga as it kind of comes out. Because Stan Sakai is amazing and his storytelling is amazing.
Is it still coming out?
It's still coming out, dude.
He's still creating new stories?
Yes. He's the man. Like he is like the king of indie comics. Like
wow.
Yeah. So, I really look to the guys that are doing the indie stuff because that's totally inspiring for me. I'm like, yeah, man, these people did it and are doing it and are making it and it's possible. So he's super good. Other than that, I don't know that I've bought anything. Like every time I go to a bookstore, I get super disappointed and I'm like, you guys don't have anything. This sucks. Instagram is awesome. ERIK is one of the guys that I follow. Yeah. He's always doing super cool stuff. There are tons of guys on Instagram that I just always look for. Gochi does some cool stuff. What else have I been into? Yeah, other than that, I don't know. Like, I mean, I still will actively buy like sketchbooks and art books. I don't really buy that many graphic novels anymore unless it's super amazing.
Go to the library.
Yeah.
I get stuff from the library. I'm like seriously always like, wow, you guys have some pretty cool stuff here.
I hate it though. I have to take it back. I can't keep it. And they charge me fines. I'm like, crap, I should have just bought it. They're charging me fines. And I don't have time to read it. Like, and that was the worst. Like when I was doing Ninjas and Robots, it was like I would go, like my wife would take my kid to the library and I would just go and then I would find all this stuff that was super awesome and I would bring it home and I'd be like, sweet. And I'd never get around to reading it. And it was like, and I'm getting charged fines and then she'd be getting pissed and
I read I read every day. I read while my son is going to sleep,
What do you
and
read?
and I always, whenever I read, usually when I read, I fall asleep. So before I go
Mm,
to bed, I'll read in bed, and I'll fall asleep while I'm reading.
yeah.
That's kind of my main
Well,
times.
like a
And
book
then
book or like comic books? Oh, okay, okay.
yeah, or digital comic books.
Okay. I've been reading I don't know if you've ever read it. It's Outlaws of the Marsh. Like it's
No,
a super old like Chinese classic. Like I've been reading that like before I go to bed. Like it's really great and it's super funny.
nice.
Um it was Forbidden Kingdom. Have you ever seen that movie? Jackie
I
Chan,
don't
Jet
think.
Li? No?
Oh, I'm sure I did.
I'm
I'm
sure
not
you have.
sure.
It's awesome. So anyway, it's like this white kid who goes to feudal China and like
Oh
whatever,
yeah,
whatever, and all this
yeah.
kung fu. So yeah, anyway, in the commentary, the guy who wrote the story mentioned like the Outlaws in the Marsh and the Monkey King, of course, and then some of these Chinese classics that really inspired the story. So I was like, man, I need to read that. So I don't know. I got the volumes, and they're just used copies off of Amazon. But I read
Nice,
that before I go to bed. It's pretty cool. It's funny.
nice man. You're a good resource for for this kind of stuff.
Sure. I'm a nerd. What can I say?
You should be sharing that with your followers.
I should, and I
Just
don't.
being
I'm
transparent about
sorry.
your inspirations and process and whatnot.
Yeah. I read this
Well,
book
whatever.
before I go to bed, guys.
Just a recommendation. Whatever, man.
I'll
You
do
do
it.
what you want with that, all right?
I'll do it because you know why? You have 9,000 followers and I only
Yeah.
have 3, so I'll do it.
But you have 3,000 that are following you for your original content,
Maybe.
and maybe some
Maybe
friends and
they
family.
maybe they see my original super action-packed content and they just think boobs. So they're like, "All right, I'm going to follow." I'm like,
But
"Wait. There's
maybe,
more to the
but
story, guys."
for yeah, maybe. Uh, Gas Key C1 says, "Thanks, guys. I will definitely check out Usagi. I think I read volume 8, and it was phenomenal. And that's all the library had. So I would like to read more of
Christmas
those.
list. I'm going to send you Dragon Ball. I'm going to send you
Oh
Usagi.
wow,
Yeah.
I look
Send me
forward
your
to
address.
that. All
Yeah.
right,
And
I
not
will.
digital copies either. I don't do that. That's fine.
Does that just like piss you off that I read
Yeah.
digital stuff?
I hate it.
Does
No,
it?
not really. No.
It really bothers you, huh?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it
It
does.
does a little bit. Yeah. It's funny because when I was in school, like that was the thing, and we would get all these art books, like digital copies, like for free, like we were
Hmm.
provided, like as resources, and I
Yeah.
never read them. Like I have so many on my hard drive, and I just never read. You can have them, Justin. You can have
Send them
them.
on over, dude.
I will, because I will never read. I need a book. I need a book.
Wow.
I'm an old man. I need books.
I prefer the book, but realistically, I'm not. I just don't. I don't buy it. I don't collect stuff
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, my screen's so small too. I can't read it on here. That sucks. What if my
Are
battery dies? Like,
you using a phone or what?
no, this is a laptop. It's a
Oh,
MacBook
okay.
Pro. Yeah.
Yeah, I use a Surface. It's big enough.
Yeah.
You make do. Anyhow, all right. That's all the questions that I had and all the questions that people have asked.
Cool.
We've been talking for quite. This is my longest interview ever.
Cool, man.
Wow, I
I'm glad
appreciate
I
all
was
your
that
time.
guy. Yeah. No, thank you.
No, it was fun, dude. Thank you, like seriously, so much.
Yeah. Anytime. Anytime. When book 2 comes out, I'll come back. Or when your book 3 comes out, I'll come back. We'll talk
Sounds
about
cool.
it.
Would you ever be up for a live stream co-drawing, like drawing something? I draw, you draw.
Yes.
I would draw. How about I
I
draw
will draw
your?
duel you.
How about a duel?
Yeah, draw duel.
Oh, so I can't turn that down. I'll draw Yuki.
Okay.
You draw Masako.
I will.
That sounds good. All right, so we'll
Yeah.
set that up for another time.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
All
Any
right, buddy.
last thoughts for the people? Hello? You got any final thoughts for the people or what?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
All right. I'm
No.
going to end it now. Bye.
All right, buddy. Bye.